Image every Friday. Pop critics for the New York Times weigh in on the week's most notable new songs and videos, and anything else that strikes them as intriguing. This week, Weezer sings an ode to the Beach Boys, Labyrinth gets a lift from an Apple commercial, and Lorde looks for trouble on a new remix. Just want the music? Listen to this playlist on Spotify here, or find our profile, New York Times. Like what you hear? Let us know at the playlist at nytimes.com, and sign up for our Louder newsletter, a once-a-week blast of our pop music coverage. Here. Björk, The Gate. I care for you / you care for me, Björk declares in The Gate, the first glimpse of her next album. It's a meditation on the possibility of love, at first speculative and then emphatic. It also makes a direct transition from the imagery of her 2015 heartbreak album, Vulna Cura, My Healed Chest Wound transformed into a gate / where I receive a love from, where I give a love from. Untethered to a beat, the song moves in fitful gusts of melody, as Björk's voice sets off flurries of flutes, of choir, of subtle electronics. It's simultaneously bold and intimate. John Perilous Jacob Banks, unknown to you. Jacob Banks makes a grandly abject apology in Unknown to You, a gospel-y dirge with tolling piano chords and swelling strings behind his ever more desperate baritone growl. He knows heartache and the end are inevitable, he offers. It's your turn to talk / for once I'm listening. But he's the one with the script for what he expects to hear. Say that you don't want me / say that you don't need me / tell me I'm the fool. J.P. Phoebe Bridgers, funeral sustained electronic sounds, feedback? Synthesizers. That start funeral place it in the present. But the bulk of it is old-fashioned, acoustic picking and Phoebe Bridgers' voice, with a folky melody bolstered by Simon and Garfunkel-like close harmony and a fiddle nearby. Blatantly depressed lyrics make it contemporary. She's attending a funeral for a kid a year older than me, dreaming about drowning, realizing, I'm so blue all the time. Eventually, she remembers someone's kid is dead, which, for the moment, overcomes her own malaise. J.P. Arturo O'Farrell and Chucho Valdez. Equación Bata. Arturo O'Farrell and Chucho Valdez are the sons of Latin jazz giants, and luminaries in their own rights. They convened in January to perform a couple of concerts and record an album in tribute to their famous fathers, Chico O'Farrell and Beba Valdez. It represented a passing of the mantle, too. They each have talented musician children, and the next generation of O'Farrells and Valdezes performed as well. The album they made that week is called Familia, and it's out now. Equación, one of the record's two Bebo Valdez compositions, is wired with his classic circuitry, complex and kinetic, but courtly above all else. Arturo O'Farrell's hotshot Afro-Latin jazz orchestra studs it with some fierce rhythmic punctuation, and Chucho Valdez pays homage to his father with a twirling, ecstatic solo. Giovanni Rossonello Burial, Rodent is the brightest, most direct burial track in some time. This British producer forgoes the hollower, more barbaric side of his texture in favor of something more indebted to two-step garage than to dubstep, with wistful, hazy vocals and a bass line that skips merrily rather than throbs with melancholy. John Caramanica. Weezer, Beach Boys. The Beach Boys have always been a wistful touchstone for Weezer's idea of pop. It's no wonder Rivers Cuomo sings about them in this song from an album, due in October, called Pacific Daydream. But the Beach Boys era was the 1960s. Now, as Mr. Cuomo sings, it's a hip-hop world. The production agrees, it's a welter of samples, a mix of orchestral luxury and roughneck drums and guitars. Meanwhile, the rhymes in the lyrics are willfully, gratingly, exultantly imperfect. Beach Boys to get moist to gunpoint. Weezer offers its own tuneful chorus and vocal harmonies, but it knows the limits of nostalgia. In the noisy 21st century, the flawless comforts of Brian Wilson's songs are out of reach. J.P. Lorde featuring Khalid, Post Malone and SZA, Homemade Dynamite remix. Part of the power of Lorde's music is its mournful sense of solitude, of being trapped alone within a consciousness constantly examining its own motives and impulses. In this remix she adds additional voices to Homemade Dynamite, a cautionary and reckless glimpse of drunken fun from her latest album, Melodrama, Our Friends, Our Drinks, We Get Inspired, Lord Sings. In the remix, she has co-conspirators, Let's Be Honest With Ourselves / We're Way Too High to Try / So Let's Take on the Night, Khalid Singh raps. I Know You Don't Know Me Well, SZA sings, but soon she adds, Ain't No Going Back. These are the kind of companions who will get her in the trouble she wants. JP Amen, I Got Soul. In 2003, Amen released the lavishly profane, D.